Okay. We've been talking about these farm bill programs. ARC and PLC dominate the dollars spent, the billions of dollars that goes out to farmers. They generally go when prices are low and or revenues are low at the county level. There's a couple other ones I want to cover that have been around for a long time, the market assistance loans, and then the other one is dairy because we're in the dairy state. So that's what part two here is. That's okay. I just said that stuff. I'm not going to spend time on the market facilitation or coronavirus food assistance program, CFAPS 1 and 2. I have a few brief statements there, and that's about it. Okay. What these are, they're just like the name says, marketing assistance loans. They're loans to help assist people with marketing. Crop prices tend to be low around harvest time. There's a whole lot of corn and soybeans coming in, the wheat is coming in, and so one way to tell people not to sell it is to have the price be low, because there's just nowhere to put it. Find your own place to store it on your farm or wherever. But that's also the time when the operating loans are due. The banks are saying, hey, you just harvested your grain. I lent you, $100,000. I'd like my money. And so the farmer's in this pinch between got all this grain, it's low price because it's harvest time. I got this loan payment that's due. What I need is a way to cash flow through this time period of making that loan payment. And there's other things at the end of the season too. You got to pay taxes and things like that. So what they have, the government came up with this program. It's been around for decades. It's called marketing assistance loans. They're low interest loans that help farmers manage the cash flow, usually pay off their operating loans, so they can wait to sell their grain later when prices are higher. Then on top of that, they add something called loan deficiency payments, LDPs. And what those do, the loan deficiency payments are a way to put a floor on prices separate from they didn't always have this PLC program out there. Before that, there was another one called countercyclical payments, CCP, that existed. Those programs didn't exist all the time. And before that, there was this program called loan deficiency payments that existed. And so LDPs put a price floor for farmers out at the county level that operated at the loan rate. And we'll talk about the loan rate. But the key is there are these low interest loans that farmers use. Historically, they used to provide a price floor. We'll see they don't really do that anymore. And then the other thing is they're not tied to base acres or your program yields or but they're tied to your actual production. How much grain you produce, and it doesn't matter where you produced it, it's no base acres, no program yields. It's purely tied to what you actually did this year. So what you do is there's a company called the Commodity Credit Corporation, CCC. It's owned by the federal government, just like the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, that does the bank insurance and things like that. The CCC does these loans, runs this program. So what you do is you put your harvested grain into this program as collateral for these loans. So no matter how many acres you grew it on or wherever, you get so many dollars per bushel equal to the loan rate. And so at the national level, the loan rate for corn is $2.20 a bushel. Soybeans is $6.20. Wheat is $3.38. So you can see they're fairly low. They're way, the PLC reference price is $3.70 for corn, and soybeans is $8.40. So you can see there's a large difference between the loan rates and the actual price floors from PLC, and market prices are way more higher than that. Each county has a loan rate that's different technically from the national loan rate, but Wisconsin tends to be a little bit lower. So I can see the numbers there for Dane County in 2020, 215, 621, and 336. The key is with these marketing assistance loans, you have to grow the grain yourself. You can't go buy it from a neighbor and then use that grain. You can't go to the co-op and buy some grain and then put it in this program. It can only be grain you produced yourself. And these loans are short term. They can be up, maximum length is 9 months. So it's definitely a marketing assistance loan. So now it's a loan. So then you have to pick the day to pay back the loan. And what that is you sell the grain. And what physical sale can happen later, but you can't sell it beforehand. So if you put your corn into this marketing assistance loan, and then you decide to sell the corn, you can't sell the corn until you pay back the loan, because the corn is the collateral. So the way the system works is every day, market days, so not on Sundays and stuff, there's a posted county price for each commodity that's for each county. And so you go get the whole list there. There's a webpage link there. If you want to see what the posted county price for corn in Dane County is today, well, tomorrow or yesterday will be there. But But if the posted county price is above the loan rate, you pay back the loan in full plus your interest payments that are due. But here's where the price floor comes in. If the posted county price is below the loan rate, you pay back at the loan rate. You don't pay back at the posted county. I'm sorry, you pay back at the at the posted county price. So you might borrow at 220, and then when you sell the grain back, you pay back at 215 a bushel. And so that's essentially what it is. You pay back the loan at a lower rate than what you borrow the money at. So you borrowed the corn, got $2.20 a bushel. But if the posted county price is below the loan rate, you pay back the loan with the posted county price instead of the loan rate. And they call that a loan deficiency payment. The loan rate minus that posted county price is the loan deficiency payment. And then you pay back the loan in a smaller amount. And originally this went way back. This program is older. The government used to actually physically buy the corn and then store it for the society. And then eventually it moved into the simplification where it's all electronic. You don't even actually have to you don't even take the loan, you just enroll the corn, you don't get the cash, but if there's a loan deficiency payment due, you get the loan deficiency payment, and you also have to pay some interest. And so it's kind of this funky system that got more and more simplified. It still exists and it's still used, and we'll show you some numbers in a bit, but it's not used as price support, it's used as a low interest loan. So I'm not going to go through the think break, have you do it, but we'll work through this example. This is exactly the problem set, but it's just a way to really understand how these work. So what I'm actually going to do is go to the answer and we'll go through it slowly. So how much would so I'm going to go back a page here, I guess. Suppose you got 5,000 bushels of soybeans, you grew it in your farm, and you put all 5,000 into this program. If soybeans has a 620 loan rate, how much will I get for a marketing assistance loan? Well, what you would do is take the 620 times the 5,000 bushels and calculate that's how much a loan would be. That's pretty straightforward. 620 times 5,000 is $31,000. So now you're going to get a loan for $31,000. Then you want to pay it back. Let's say you want to pay it back on February 1st when the posted county price is $7 a bushel. What's your loan deficiency payment? Nothing. You would pay back at 620. Your payment rate would be at $6.20 a bushel. You would owe some interest as well. You would pay back $31,000 plus interest. But let's say the price fell apart. Suppose instead you waited until February 15th. Posted county price was only $6. It really fell. What's your loan deficiency payment? Well, you can see I got a loan rate of 620. The current posted county price today is $6. I get a 20 cents. So I would get 20 cents times 5,000 bushels. I get $1,000 loan deficiency payment. And then when I pay back the loan, I'd only owe $30,000. And so what they would eventually do is just have you pay back the loan at $30,000 and not give you a check for $1,000 and then expect you to pay $31,000 for the loan deficient for the market assistance loan. And there's always interest on top of this. But that's how it works. You see, you put the grain in, get a low interest loan, and then you pay it back. You pick a date to cash out the loan, pay it off, and there's a posted county price. For now, these loan rates are so low that they don't matter in terms of actually getting loan deficiency payments. But I started in 2004 at this job, and in those early years, there were people getting loan deficiency payments for corn and soybeans in the state. And so it's in history. So there are plenty of farmers out there who remember getting loan deficiency payments. So that's how it works. I don't know if you guys are all muted. If you have to be muted, I don't know how the system works. But anyone have any questions or anything? That's just pretty simple process. You get low interest loans, pay them back with a little low interest. What the interest rate is set, it's set by the law, and it's 1 percentage point above the federal funds rate, the Federal Reserve rate. So it's going to be pretty low. The Federal Reserve has been clicking up lately, so these loans are not as low as they used to be. But it's a cheap way for farmers to get capital. It's really the way to think of it. That's the reason it was invented. There's a lot of countries out there that they have, the farmers are generally capital constrained. I'm talking like Argentina, or you go to South America, or you go to sub-Saharan Africa. There's a whole systems for decades. We've been developing systems to help farmers get capital to invest in things. We've had our Federal Reserve system, our federal farm credit system to do that here. And, back in the 1800s, we created that system to give farmers access to capital. credit. That's what this program is invented for. And it's still kind of a leftover from that, but it's still used. It's a way to get farmers credit at lower interest. The government bears the risk of them not paying it off. That's why the grain's the cap is the collateral. So summary of loan deficiency payments. LDPs, dollars, okay. The loan rate minus post accounting price. If the post accounting price is less than the loan rate, you get that. That's what your loan deficiency payment is. The key is it depends upon the local county price. When you cash it out. So if you cashed out your loan on February 1st, you would get one loan deficiency payment. Another farmer might wait a week and get on February 8th, get a different loan deficiency payment for the same number of bushels. And so the farmers would always have to sit around and compare their, when did you sell yours, and they would have to do all that stuff to kind of see. It was a process. You had to figure out when was the best day to pay off your marketing assistance loan. But then the other thing is that's the day you sell back the loan, February 1st, February 8th, whatever. You can still sell the grain March 15th, September, or much later in the summer, and get a totally different price. And so this loan deficiency payment, the marketing posted county price, it may not be the price you actually receive when you sell your grain. The other thing is, just because you use this program doesn't mean you have to sell it. A lot of times you put the grain in there, get the loan, use the loan to do whatever you need to do. And then when you're ready, you would pay back the loan and then use the grain to feed your livestock. You just couldn't take the grain until you had paid back the loan. There was like physically, they would seal the grain bins to mark that this grain is not, it's collateral for this program. I remember seeing my grandfather had that on his farm. The other thing is not like base acres. It depends upon how many harvested bushels you had, not the acres you harvested, not your payment yields or anything like that. It's just a way to give farmers low interest loans. All right. Any quick questions or anything? The way these work, like I said, they were created before the countercyclical payments, and then the new version of it, price loss PLC payments, to give a price floor for farmers. But they haven't been paid in years. Some of the southern crops do. There's a few places that wheat actually paid a loan deficiency payment a few years ago. But in these crops down south, the peanuts, cotton, and rice, sometimes those loan rates are set so they actually still are relevant. But a 220 loan rate for corn is just completely irrelevant. PLC for soybeans is irrelevant. 840 hasn't been ever a PLC payment made for soybeans in the history of the program. And then putting a loan rate at 620, there's no way it's going to make any payments. But the key is it's the payment, the mark there in the bottom of the page, that market assistance loans do not use national marketing average prices, no base acres or program yields. It's the loan rate and the posted county price and actual production. So it's a very different program, that's all. And it's sort of a leftover. This is the one I wanted to show. It's hard to find data on this. This goes from 2008 to 2017. It's how many people took marketing assistance loans on corn in the US during those years. And you can see back in 2008, it was over 1 billion bushels. Up in 2017, it was almost 1 billion bushels. We produce like 14 billion bushels now. And so it's probably more like 7, 8, 9% of the corn in 1 year would be enrolled in this program. Especially, it went back in 2012 was a drought year. There's very little corn out there relative to, we had like 30% yield loss nationally. And so there just wasn't enough grain. And so that program went down, but the prices are high as well. So not as much grain and prices are high, didn't need this program. But then as the prices got low again, started using this program. So the point I'm trying to make is this seems like kind of hokey. What do I need a 220 price floor on your corn? You don't use it for the price floor, you use it for the low interest loan, but a lot of people still use them. That's what you'll see there. There's 1 billion bushels are put in there. And I'm guessing here now as interest rates are rising, and farmers are higher interest rates, I'm guessing they're going to be back to using this program again to get low interest loans. It's simply, and then there's a spending on marketing assistance loan. So go back and look at ARC and PLC. They're spending billions of dollars a year, like 2, 3, 4 billion a year. The marketing assistance loan program doesn't even cost $50 million. It's a cheap program. It provides low interest loans to farmers. So